प्रातस्मरामि हृदि संस्फुरदात्मतत्त्वं सच्चित्सुखं परमहंसक किं तुरीयं यत्स्वप्नजागरसुषुप्तमवेति नित्यं तद्ब्रह्म निष्कलमहं न च भूतसङ्गः। Verse number 2, what we were studying last week. He said, knowledge of self is the direct means for liberation as fire for cooking. From verse number 2 onwards, you will get to see every verse coming up with one example. Each and every verse will have one example. The example of verse number 2 is fire for cooking. Just as fire is the direct means for cooking, knowledge is the direct means for liberation. Knowledge cannot be attained, liberation cannot be attained without knowledge of the self. All other means are preparation. Preparation to gain knowledge and liberation happens through knowledge is the formula. So, a few things has to be understood very clearly. Moksha is not a multifold path. There are no 100 different paths for liberation. There is only one path to liberation, that is moksha. You may take it, you may leave it. You may say, no, sir, there are saying there, all paths lead to the same destination and all that is just very nice to hear. But it doesn't stand the test of logic and reason. Moksha is not a multifold. Moksha is not multiple paths. There is only one means for moksha, that is knowledge. So, there are certain things known as preparatory practices. There are certain things that is known as direct path. So, the direct means is knowledge, rest are preparation. So, what he is trying to explain here is, he is trying to explain in the first few verses the very fundamental concept of Vedanta. Now, if a person is not clear with this fundamental concept of Vedanta, we will not be studying Vedanta completely. We will be studying Vedanta in bits and pieces. Now, even those who have been studying Vedanta, I have observed, they study it only in bits and pieces. Bits and pieces means the pieces that suits them, they will take. The pieces that is appealing to them, they take. Rest, they switch off. Whenever we talk about how to handle family relationships, how to create more wealth, how to do that, the person is wide awake. The moment we start talking about it is anityam, it is temporary, it is illusion, the person switches off. Now, you cannot pursue knowledge, you cannot pursue moksha like this. So, first thing that you have to understand is, there are no many. Moksha is a singular path. How can you say this, sir? Shankaracharya is saying this in verse number 3 of chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam lokesmin dvivida nishta pura prokta mayanaga. It has been said already. The path is singular. Two stages to that path. Lokesmin dvivida nishta pura prokta mayanaga. Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. The path is singular in stages. So, the first stage is preparatory practices. The second stage is jnana. What is the preparatory practices? Preparatory practices involves action. Preparatory practices involves lot of activity, lot of action. That he is going to talk about in verse number 3. Verse number 2, he established the formula that knowledge is the means for preparation and other things are preparations. Preparation means activities. Preparation means actions. You do a series of action and prepare yourself to gain this knowledge. So, what is that preparatory steps? What is those action that he is talking about? Verse number 3, which we are going to start from, which we are going to see today. Verse number 3 reads, Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet vidya vidyam nihantyeva tejas timira sangavat. Avirodhitaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet vidya vidyam nihantyeva tejas timira sangavat. Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposed to ignorance. Knowledge alone destroys ignorance as light destroys deep darkness. Another beautiful example. As light destroys deep darkness. We'll go to that example later. The example in this verse is as light destroys not ordinary darkness, deep darkness. Timira Sanghavat. The deep darkness, as the light removes the deep darkness, knowledge alone destroys ignorance. All the preparatory practices which are action, action cannot destroy ignorance. Now, what you need to understand as action means, action here is the combination in the modern day context, what we discuss as all the spiritual practices technically called as Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Action cannot destroy ignorance. Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposite of ignorance. He is giving the logic and reason as to why it cannot destroy ignorance. For action itself is a product of ignorance. That which is a product of ignorance cannot remove ignorance. Now, it requires some explanation. Number one. Number two, if you are not able to digest it, accept it, don't worry. Kada Kalakshepam story mari ketutu utrungo. Don't really bother about all these things if it is too hurtful. If it is attacking your sentiments, ignore it. One day you will mature enough to understand this, that's all. Not that the law is going to change. Not that the principle is going to change. Right now, if it is not appealing to you, doesn't matter. But the truth is what? Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposite of ignorance. Now, first thing that you need to understand is a few things about action. Once you understand a few things about action, you will understand how action cannot destroy ignorance and give moksha. Now, first thing about action is action equals choice and consequences. Knowledge, moksha is not a choice, moksha is not a consequence. See, opposite na sollave vanda. You have to take knowledge means opposite of all this. I will talk about action. Action equals choice and consequence. Action equals choice and consequence. In a classroom like this, you have listening is an action. Action means choice. Choice means what? You can choose to listen, you can choose not to listen, or you can choose to listen something else. You inniki class romba bore adikka porar pola irukku adanal நம்ம newspaper படிக்கலாம். As he is talking, let me keep. Now you can choose to do something else. That is what choice means. Are you able to follow? First thing. Action equals choice and consequence. Basics. See, what they do is, before they go into the study of the Vedanta Shastra, all this is taught as Mimamsa and Nyaya. All this is taught. Today we are doing a chivda. We mix everything together, the fresh, the bad, the old. We put everything. At some point of time, we really don't know what we are. We really don't know what we are doing. Here, Atmabodha is very, very useful because it gives the basic formulas like this, which we don't get to discuss in other chapters. Like when we study Bhagavad Gita and all, we can't come down and talk all this because Bhagavad Gita is assumed that you have studied Atmabodha and come to Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. Now, what is that? First thing, formulas for thinking has to be very clear. The formula upon which the knowledge is systematized and developed has to be very clear. What is it? Action and the knowledge. Action means two things. Action means choice. Action means consequence. Now, choice means, I was explaining the choice part. Consequence I'll come to later. What does the choice means? The choice means you can choose to do, you can choose not to do, or you can do otherwise. Are you able to follow? When a law is given to you, when you are told to do something, a choice. When you are told to exercise, now you may do it, you may choose to do it, you may choose not to do it, or you can do otherwise. Now, is moksha a choice? Like, as though you have these three possibilities, you can choose to do, you can choose not to do, you can choose the otherwise. Moksha is not a, moksha, liberation is not a choice. Why moksha, liberation is not a choice? Because tat tvamasi, you are that. Till you get there, you will not rest content. Till you get to moksha, you will not rest content. You will keep searching for it in some way or the other. Therefore, first thing that you understand is it is not a choice. Second thing about action is consequence. Second thing about action is consequence. Consequence, I have discussed it in detail in some other class before. Consequence means result, phalam. And the result, the phalam, is of 4 types. The result, the fruit, the phalam is of 4 types. What are the 4 types? You may get exactly what you want. You may get more than what you want. You may get less than what you want. You may get the opposite of what you want. Now, these are the consequences of an action. Moksha is not a consequence like this. Moksha is not a consequence of an action like this. This is the first thing about action. The choice and the consequence. Choice na enna, consequence na enna. Second thing about action is action is always driven by a desire and a fruit. Action is always driven by a desire to achieve something. Action means driven by desire, seeking, or wanting to attain something. Either wanting to attain something or trying to avoid something else. But nevertheless, action has this desire behind it. Now, there is no desire for, you cannot have a desire for moksha. But sir, you talk about mukshatva and all so much, no? What is that? It's a figurative way of saying it, that's all. There is no, it's a very loose way of saying. You cannot have a desire for that. There's no desire there. So, the second thing that you need to understand about action is always driven by a desire to attain something. So action implies a karta, a doer. Action implies a doer. And what is moksha? Moksha, if moksha means eternity, if moksha means permanency, if moksha means eternity, if moksha means permanency, action cannot produce anything that is, action cannot give you anything permanent. A product of action is anityam. That which is the product of action also will be anityam, temporary. Therefore, action cannot give moksha. Then what is the role of action? What is the purpose of action? The purpose of action is inner purification. That inner purification. What is that inner purification? Atma bodhalayada and the kelvi kekkudada. Padam verse number 3 la dhaan irukum. So at least in Atma bodha you should not ask what is inner purification. What is inner purification? Refer to verse number 1 as the inner purification. What is inner purification? Action is that which gives this inner purification. The inner purification becomes a necessary tool for Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, Jnanam, Moksha. This is the path towards moksha. This is the established path towards moksha. Atma Bodha talks about it. Bhagavad Gita talks about it. Isavasi Upanishad talks about it. All Upanishads talks about the same thing. What had happened is, over a period of time, so many misunderstanding has crept in. Lot of misunderstanding has crept in. What is the misunderstanding? First of all, the definition of moksha itself is not. First of all, the definition of moksha itself is not clear. That's why I said in the last class, we need to have a definition. We need to have a clarity on what is known as moksha. You need to have that definition clearly first. One of the fantastic person called Gauri Shankara Bhikshu, in the book of definitions, he gives the books of definitions for Vedanta, Tarka Sangraha. In that he gives 33 definitions for moksha. How 32 misunderstandings are there, and what is the right and what is the right understanding? Clear? Now don't ask me to go into that. I'm not going into that now. I'm just saying how deep it is. How deep it is, the definition of moksha. Now, if moksha means eternity, action which gives a result which is anityam by nature cannot give a permanent moksha. Are you able to follow the logic? Action means result. Result means temporary. Temporary means which is subject to modification. Temporary means that which is subject to modification. All human knowledges are temporary. Why do we say all human knowledge is temporary? Because it keeps modifying, it keeps changing. You know, Vedantic knowledge doesn't go through any modification, any change, any alteration, any addition, any deletion. It doesn't go through all this. Therefore, since it doesn't go through any of these, it cannot be a product of action. And yet, action is very important. And yet, action is very essential. And yet, action is very, very important. Why action is very important? Because action gives this inner purification. With that inner purification, Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam becomes comfortable, and that Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, which is knowledge, is the direct means for moksha. Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposed to it. Knowledge alone destroys ignorance. Now, what is knowledge? Knowledge, carefully follow. Action is dependent on the individual. Knowledge is not dependent on the individual. Per se, it is. Again, I repeat. Action is dependent on the individual. Knowledge is not dependent on the individual. Knowledge means per se what it is. Your agreement, your disagreement, your understanding, your not understanding, knowing, not knowing, all this has no relevance to knowledge. So what is the definition of knowledge? The definition of knowledge is seeing it as it is. Seeing it as it is. Knowing it as it is. Seeing, don't take the action of seeing. Knowing it as it is. Knowing it as it is, not through any of the pramanams that we have. That is why the Puranic stories symbolically talk about the third eye, Jnana Chakshu. What you see these through eyes, what you see these two eyes, and what you see through this Jnana Chakshu. So, what do you understand? Action cannot give you moksha. Action prepares you to gain knowledge, and knowledge gives moksha. Now, don't get sentimental or emotional about all these things. We are not saying knowledge is superior, other two are inferior. It's like saying one is a preparatory practice, another is the direct. That's all. Oh, because you are talking about knowledge, you belong to the knowledge school, sir. Therefore, you talk like this. But what about the Bhakti school? What about the Hatha Yoga school? What about the Kundalini school? Everybody talks. Now, what Vedanta comes and says is this. Understand this. The formula has to be understood clearly. What is the formula? If it is the product of action, it cannot give you moksha, because action means limitation, and anything that is limited by time and anything that is limited to change cannot give you that which is permanent. Are you okay till now? If the traditional acharyas were to be alive today, they will shoot all the Vedanta teachers now. They will not shoot the listeners. They will shoot all the teachers, because including me. They will shoot us. They will say, what are you sitting and talking to the fellow who doesn't even know the basics? What are you sitting and talking to a person who doesn't even know the basics? The person is not even clear about the addition and subtraction and multiplication and division. And you make that person sit in the mathematics MSc classroom and giving him the highest concepts like Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya. All this you are talking, and the fellow has no clue to, and the person is not able to even receive what you are saying, but still he listens. Why? ஏதோ நடுப்புற ஏதாவது ஒன்று ரெண்டு நல்லதா சொல்லுவாங்க, அது that will be useful to our in that 1 hour 30 minutes that he talks. Something he will say in between which is very practical to our life. அது மட்டும் we will listen to. Rest of the things we will ignore. அவங்க let him give. Okay. Now action means what? Action implies a few things again. See, 1 2 3 4 nu போட்டுக்கோங்க நீங்களே நம்பரா. See, I don't have any return text, anything like notes or anything. I am talking purely from the concept, the memory. That's all. So another way of looking at action is, action has a few things. What are the few things the action has? Action means production, attainment. You produce something through action. That which is not there earlier, you produce through action. Second thing that through action is modification. Something which is there already, you modify it. The third thing that is possible through action is purification. The fourth thing that is possible through action is attainment. Now, moksha is not a product of something. Moksha is not modification of something. Moksha is not attained through purification of something. Moksha is not an attainment. Why? Because why it is not an attainment? You are that already. When you are that already, what is there to attain? Purification. Purification is possible only where there is a possibility of dirt. Purification is possible where? What would you purify? That which gets dirty again and again and again, you purify. Yeah. See, in the morning, I get up. Before I sit for study, I wipe the table. Now, next day morning, again I need to wipe the table because it gets dirty again and again and again. Now, Brahman, God, self being pure, intrinsically pure, it doesn't get dirty, so that you have to purify it. That is why we say Chitta Shuddhi, not Brahma Shuddhi. Yeah? It is not purification of God. It is purification of thoughts, Chitta. So, purification. The third thing is modification. What does modification means? Milk turning into curd. You turn the milk into curd. That is modification. What is production? Farmer producing a crop. Farmer creating. So, now you cannot produce moksha. Why you cannot produce it? Because something that which you produce will, all that is subject to production, all that is a product, all that which is produced deteriorate. It's a law. All that is produced will deteriorate, have an expiry date. Yeah. All that is produced will have an expiry date. We may not know the expiry date, but nevertheless there is an expiry. Only the time differs. They say sun also will die one day. but it will take a long period to die. So all that you see, all that you know of, we have come to the understanding that it will deteriorate. Action, which through action, when you produce something, it will deteriorate, it will die. So action cannot give you anything that is permanent. Neither is God a modification. Neither is a God a product of modification. Abdina, what do you understand? What action can do? With all the explanation that I gave, what do you understand? What do you understand? What action can give and what action cannot give? That's all he's saying. What action can give and what action cannot give. And the fundamental root of action is, he starts with the fundamental. In the ignorance and all this is what we derive. He doesn't go into these detailed explanation. All that he says is, aviroditaya karma na vidyam vinivartayet. Vidya vidyam nihantyeva tejas timira sangavat. He only says action is a product of ignorance. Worshipping God as though that God is different from you is also ignorance. As though thinking that God is distinct and different from you, God is separate from you, itself is, according to him, what is ignorance? Thinking that you and God are separate is ignorance. According to Vedanta, the definition of ignorance is not knowing mathematics, not knowing how to deal wife and children, how to handle office. Adalla ignorance kadayadu. According to Vedanta, ignorance means thinking that you and God are separate is ignorance. Because of this, knowing that, because of this wrong understanding that you two are separate, you do a lot of action. So all this action has the root in ignorance. And this ignorance cannot produce moksha. Now what he means by karma, what he means by action here is all spiritual practices. All spiritual practices. When we say all spiritual practices, all the spiritual practices as in unselfish activities, the devotional practices, the ritualistic practices, all that is done, he combines it in one group and calls it as action, which he says is the preparatory step. The path is singular, the stages are two. It's not many paths, plural. There are not many paths in plural. The path is singular, stages are different. Now, what are the stages? In the initial stage, you do lot of karma yoga. That is why all great masters insist on doing karma yoga a lot. They say do karma yoga, do karma yoga, do karma yoga. Why? Because in karma yoga, a chitta shuddhi will come. When you understand action in this way, chitta shuddhi comes. What is chitta shuddhi? How do you say action gives this chitta shuddhi? Okay. What is shuddhi means? Purity. Now what is impurity? What is impurity? Impurity is of 5. Impurity na anjada. What is the impurity? That 5. In the list you know by heart. Huh? All this, at least you should know now by heart all this. Dirt na 5. What is the 5 dirt? இது வந்து ஸ்கூல்ல வர recitation competition மாதிரி. First நான் எடுத்து கொடுத்தா rest you will remember. The child will stand on the stage. Starting problem. First வார்த்தை தெரியாது, அதுக்கு மறந்து போயிடும். So the teacher will sit in the pit and prompt. Prompt. The first prompt கொடுத்தா the child will, because it talks through memory, starting trouble. Similarly, இங்கே அதே பண்ண வேண்டியிருக்குது. What is the 5? What is the 5? Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. These 5 are the impurities. Why? Because these 5 is the product of action. Why this is called as impurities? Because these 5 is the product of action. What are the 5? Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. Anger. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, Trividam Narakasyedam, he says. 3 are the gates to hell, he says. 3 are the gates to hell. And the 3 we have to add the other 2 also. And for understanding purposes, you have to make it as the 5 are the gates to hell. Trividam Narakasyedam, he says. What are the 3 gates to, what are the 5 gates to hell? The 5 gates to hell is Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, Bhaya. Now, action will produce all these 5. It is only knowledge that removes these 5. Action will produce all these 5. What are the 5? When you start an action, first thing is anger, I said, no? Purity. Now, what are you trying to purify? What are you trying to purify? The mind that you have is not cooperating to gain knowledge. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Mantratak, the mind is not cooperating because of the impurities. That impure mind has to be made to cooperate. And what is the impurity? The impurity is of these 5. What is the first 5? What is the first thing? Anger. Now, what is anger? You start an action. I have said this already. You start an, ஒரு கான்டெக்ஸ்ட்ல ஒண்ணு சொல்லின்னு இருக்கிறது ஆத்மபோதால அழகா சீக்வென்ஸ் பண்ணி பேசலாம். That is why Atmabodha is a beautiful introductory textbook. What is anger? When you start an action, first thing that comes is Vigna, obstacle. When you start an action, what do you experience? Difficulties and obstacles. So wherever there is a difficulty, wherever there is an obstacle, the tendency is to get angry. So you understand anger is an impurity. Second thing is lobha, greed. Greed means I got it. What is greed? Lobha. Remember the Last Supper in the Bible. They talk about the Last Supper, the last meal of Jesus Christ. Last Supper means the last meal of Jesus Christ. Some of you would have seen those pictures also. Jesus Christ will be sitting and eating. A few will be sitting with him. A few will be standing behind. A few will be at 2-3 will be sitting at his feet. Would have seen at least would have seen the picture. The Last Supper. What was the discussion, in that Last Supper? All the disciples were asking Jesus Christ. What is the question they were asking Jesus Christ? Who do you think is the best disciple? Are you able to ask? Are you able to follow the question? இருக்கிற ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்லயே யாரு பெஸ்ட் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்? Comparison, greed. And Peter almost kept a gun at Jesus Christ and saying, Tell everybody that I am your best. Tell everybody that I am your best student. Because greed means nobody should be. There are people above me. Greed means nobody should be above me. That is greed. Yeah. It comes everywhere. Disciples Nana Kuda greed doesn't go. Why? Because who is the best student? The third is arrogance. Arrogance. Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya, envious. The last thing is Bhaya. See, there is something that is very, very careful you have to understand. All that is a product of action will give you Bhaya, fear. Why? Because either it will diminish, deteriorate, or somebody can take it away from you. Yeah. And another, we have to keep locked and put the video camera also, and put the thing in your mobile phone. Any part of the world, wherever you go, you can keep checking on what is happening in your house. Bhaya. Why? Because it can be taken away from you. Now, what these impurities do? Why this has to be purified? Why do you have to get rid of this? Because these five doesn't allow you to gain knowledge. These five doesn't allow you to gain knowledge. When we say this five doesn't allow you to gain knowledge, means it will not allow you to do Shravana properly. It will not allow you to do Manana properly. It will not forget about Nididhyasana. We are not even going near there. Shravana cannot be done properly. Manana cannot be done properly. If Shravana Manana is not done properly, knowledge becomes, you will not be able to understand what the Vedanta is saying. If you can't understand what Vedanta is saying, moksha is not possible. Only objection here you will have is, sir, why are you struggling so much? Our goal is not moksha. Who told you that Nanga moksha? Who told you first of all? Huh? Did any one of us tell you that we have come to you for moksha? Why are you stuffing it? That what we are not asking for, what we are not seeking for, why are you stuffing it on us? Shankaracharya didn't understand that. So he has written a textbook called Atmabodha for the seekers of. He has written a textbook called Atmabodha for those who are interested in moksha. Self. For those who are interested in moksha. Are you okay till now? I just said so many things fast because we have discussed this in very many contexts separately. All this I just summarized today, because the formula he is saying it very clearly. In nowhere else you will find this formula directly. Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposed to ignorance. This formula is not explicitly said. In all other areas, it is, you have to infer it. Since he is saying it directly, it becomes easy to explain all this. What is it? Action. Now that we have seen all that is about action, what do you understand? What do you understand? Action cannot destroy ignorance. For to gain moksha, ignorance has to be destroyed. Now, what is that knowledge I am going to come to? Before that, you need to understand all our preparatory steps only doesn't give doesn't give moksha. The biggest difficulty today that we have is this. Sir, in the age of Kali Yuga, it is said, in the age of Kali Yuga, it is said, chanting the Lord's name is the direct means for liberation. Another person will come and say, Tumma chanting the Lord's name Allah is of no use. In the Mari Ukandi Pesiner Kardinal is of no use. The whole world is suffering. Get out and do something. So what is moksha? Relieving the suffering of the others is moksha. Now everybody comes and gives their own, and then what you should now, you should not be confused. If you are confused, what will happen? 4 to 6, I will sit and do the ritual. 7:45, what time we started the class? 7:45. 4 to 6 ritual. 7:45 to 8, 7:45 to 9, jnanam. 11 to 1, something else. Evening, something else. Like a chivda, we do everything and then come and ask. The proof of all this is what? And then the person comes and asks, 20 years of studying, sir, 30 years of studying, sir, 40 years of studying and teaching also. Why there is no mumukshatva? Why there is no change yet? There will be, see, because of this long years of study and all that, little bit there will be a minor transformation. What is a minor transformation? That which affects others so badly will not affect you, that's all. But again remember Swamiji's example. Till you gain moksha, you have a weakness. Till you gain moksha, till you gain this knowledge relatively, you have a weakness. What is the weakness? A loss will happen and some loss will affect you. A loss will happen and that loss will affect you. Example, beautiful analysis he does. Loss of a pencil, loss of a wristwatch, loss of the car, loss of the house, loss of the family. Before gaining this knowledge, loss of pencil would devastate you. Now what had happened? Little bit of this knowledge, you feel comfortable because loss of pencil doesn't affect you that much. It is only in comparison to that. But ignorance is still there. Why the ignorance is still there? Why there is no conviction in the pursuit? Why there is no conviction in the pursuit is because the formula is not clear. The formula is not clear. What is the formula? Action is for purification. Through purification, you gain knowledge, and knowledge gives, and knowledge, you can't say knowledge gives moksha. That itself is a wrong thing to say. As English figurative we have to say this. And knowledge gives moksha. Are you okay till now? This is as far as action is concerned. Now we will come to what is knowledge. Now I'll discuss a few things about knowledge. For knowledge, the example that he gives is as light destroys deep darkness. Are you okay till now about action? Now about knowledge. Now, action is, what is the fundamental difference between knowledge and action? Action is your choice. Knowledge is not your choice. Knowledge is what it is. Again, I repeat, action is your choice. Knowledge is not of your choice. You may understand, you may not understand, you may have a doubt. But knowledge per se is the fact, the truth, the satyam over which you don't have anything to do. Either you understand or you don't understand. Or if you don't understand, you make effort to understand. But knowledge doesn't change. For example, knowledge in Radhika, I'll give a simple example from the Mahabharata story. You all know the Mahabharata story, yeah? And Mahabharata story, I am taking this particular aspect of the meeting between Kunti and Karna. Why Kunti and Karna? At least Karna movie you would have seen, no? The Karna Padamadu Pathanal, it becomes easy to explain this. There is the meeting between Kunti and Karna. Kunti gave Karna the knowledge. What is the knowledge? You are a Kunti Putra. You are a Kunti Putra. That's the knowledge given. Did that change? When Karna heard it, he had a lot of, first of all, he didn't believe that. Then he said, assuming it to be true, doubts keep coming. And then he wanted to go and check with all the doubts and the clarity that he gained. Did the fact change? Are you able to follow the difference? Did the fact change? Fact remains the same. That is what knowledge is. This is the difference between action and knowledge. In the fundamental difference, Purin, I tell you, as I am saying this, it will look very clear. 10 minutes later, it will be very, very confusing. Knowledge means per se what it is. When Kunti told Karna that you are Kunti Putra, knowledge was given to him. Correct? Knowledge was given to him. But it took a very long, tedious process for Karna to. It took a long and tedious process for Karna to understand that. After understanding, you would have said, oh my God, this is knowledge. Huh? After understanding, you will always say, this is knowledge. This is knowledge. Oh my God, such a simple thing. Why did I struggle so much for? This is what knowledge. This is the difference between action and knowledge. When it comes anything to action, you will say, carefully follow now. Anything that is a product of action, you will say, you know, sir, in the வீடு கட்டறதுக்கு நான் எவ்வளவு கஷ்டப்பட்டேன். To get this tender for me, to get this deal done for me, you know, sir, how much of effort is done? In action, in relation to the product of action, the effort will become pradhanam there. The effort will look very important there, will look very powerful there. When it comes to understanding, it changes. You will say, I can't. Such a simple thing. It took me so long to understand. Are you able to follow the difference between action and knowledge? Knowledge is per se. Knowledge is per se what it is. Per se what it is. Per se what it is. What is Vedanta per se? Tat Tvam Asi. Per se Vedanta means Tat Tvam Asi. Just as you are Kunti Putra. Just as Kunti tells Karna that you are Kunti Putra, Vedanta says Tat Tvamasi. Just as Karna found it difficult to accept and digest, we also find it difficult to accept and digest. Are you okay with this till now? Shastra gives a much better example to explain what is knowledge. Shastra gives a much better example to explain what is knowledge, which is what Swamiji quotes in the Vedanta treatise. Shastra gives this example. What is the example that the Shastra gives to describe knowledge? The example that the story that the Shastra gives to describe knowledge is a prince who didn't know that he was a prince begging. Does anyone remember the story? A prince who doesn't know that he was the prince was assuming that he is the beggar and begging. And then he realized that he is the king. The moment he realized that he is the king, when he was begging, there is a difference. Begging as a beggar and begging as a king. What is the difference? Action is the same begging. What is the difference? Previously, he didn't know that he was the king. Now he knew that he is the king. Knowledge. The difference between action and knowledge. And what is this knowledge? Eternal you are already, which you don't recognize, which you don't realize. So recognizing your true nature is jnanam. So recognizing your true nature is jnanam means, if it is your true nature means, it is not a product of action. It is your true nature means, it is not that he became the king. He was the king. He was the king already. The difference is, he didn't know it then, now he knows it. So, the difference between action and knowledge is what? In knowledge, you can only, your role in knowledge is not about doing. Your role in knowledge is, knowing, recognizing. Here, we may ask a question here. Yeah. Shastras have known all that and they answer it. Here they say, he is not knowing an action also. He is not knowing itself and an action. Vedanta comes and says, you cannot say so. For action means, it has to produce something, it has to purify something, you have to attain something, you have to purify something, then only it is action. Now in knowledge, none of this happens. Therefore, knowing cannot be called as an action. In knowing, remember in the human anatomy in Vedanta, we discussed the two types of indriyas, jnana indriyas and karma indriyas. What does What is the role of Jnana Indriyas? At least this you should remember. At least this you should know. What is the role of Jnana Indriya? What is the role of the eye? The role of the eyes, the role of the eye is to see. Role of the ear is to hear. Jnanam, that which is there, it recognizes. That is why it's called Jnana Indriya. The Jnana Indriya, Karma Indriya, and the difference Vedanta has brought about this fundamental distinction. In the very distinction of this Indriyas called Jnana Indriyas and Karma Indriyas itself, this distinction is brought. What does the Jnana Indriyas do? Recognize the world. That's all. The eyes, carefully follow. The eyes can choose to see, the eyes can choose not to see, or the eyes can choose to see something else. In the possibility, the eyes have. Are you able to follow? The eyes have the choice to see. The eyes have the choice not to see. The eyes have the choice to see something else. All these are activities of the eyes. But when the eyes sees an apple, recognizing the apple as an apple is jnana. In the apple, it cannot put something. In the apple, it cannot add or delete. Per se, it is. Are you able to follow? It's a very, I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can, not going into too much of technical words. Not too much of technical words and technical verses I'm not bringing. I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can, as it can be, in distinguishing action and knowledge. This action, which is a product of ignorance, cannot give rise to jnanam. For jnanam to happen, what should be done? For jnanam to happen, you should know to use the right instrument and the mind has to be available. Correct? For jnanam to happen, you have to use the right instrument. The mind has to be available. The buddhi has to be sharp. This is the product of action, which is what is known as Chitta Shuddhi. Keeping the mind available and making the intellect sharp is what is known as Chitta Shuddhi. But the object which these purified entity contacts and gains the knowledge per se is different, which is not subject to any modification, change, blah, blah, blah. I am not getting into that. This is the fundamental difference between action and knowledge. This is a fundamental difference between action and knowledge. But this action is so deep, so strong, so powerful. Another problem. The example of light dispelling darkness is extraordinary here. Consider this case. A cave in darkness, millions of years. A cave that is enveloped in darkness for millions of years. Millions of years of darkness doesn't require millions of years of lighting. Howsoever long the darkness is, howsoever intense the darkness is, the first matchstick you strike, darkness is gone. That is knowledge. That is knowledge. howsoever long it is, howsoever dark it is, you strike it, it is learnt. The when I say it is learnt means ignorance is gone. Therefore, when you are pursuing the spiritual path, understand the sequence clearly and pursue. When you understand the sequence clearly and if you pursue, you will be on the right path. Arbitrarily, randomly, you can't do things. Neither you can do a chivda of everything. Mix of everything. It has to be sequentialized. Sequence la ponadam puriyum. Mathematics, you have to go sequentially. You can't randomly choose from here, from here, from here, from here. When it comes to Vedantic knowledge, when it comes to the spiritual path, we don't do it sequentially. We just do it. We are so random about it. Randomly we pick and choose. On what basis we pick and choose? On what basis we pick and choose? We pick and choose based on two factors. One is conditioning. Number two, that which gives me an immediate benefit. On what basis we randomly pick and choose? Sir, in the Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, Ketu, reflect Panilla, Unnu Persala, Amatendrathu. There is a practical method in the Solungo. Okay, practical method is after the class is over, bring the Vastu Shastra fellow and drill a hole in the wall, so that next day when you sit for Mananam will become better. Na, you really don't know what you are. You don't know what you are doing. Are you able to follow till now? In knowledge, you need to know what is the subject matter and what can reveal this to you. Is that clarity? You need to know what is the subject matter and what is the pramanam that can reveal it to you. If you want to moksha, you can't go and sit in a physics classroom. If you want to moksha, if you want to study nuclear physics, you can't come and sit in Vedanta class. Are you able to follow? If you want to, you need to know what is it that you are, what is your goal, and what is the pramanam that can give you this goal. As far as the worldly matters are concerned, science is the pramanam. As far as self is concerned, Vedanta is the pramanam. You can't mix both. You can't mix both. It is not possible. You can, if you start mixing both will adopt the same methodology. What is the methodology both will adopt? They will adopt the methodology of Tarka, Nyaya, Mimamsa, logic, reason, analysis. The methodology that is adopted is Tarka, Nyaya, Mimamsa, meaning logic, reason and analysis is the method that is adopted. But you cannot mix both. What you cannot mix? That which can give you a temporary benefit cannot be mixed with that when you are asking for a permanent benefit. You cannot mix both. Are you able to follow? So you cannot mix both. But people not having this basic knowledge, they tend to mix both, or they get carried away by something. In the whole discussion today, the Acharya used to give a beautiful example. Long back, I remember this example he gave. When he was given, after the discourse is over, the person came to the Acharya, prostrated to the Acharya and said, today's class was the best class. Today's class was the best class. Why? Because you blessed my grandson today. Acharya said, where did I bless your grandson? See, in the course of the conversation, he uttered the word Shreyas. Are you able to follow? In the course of the conversation, he uttered the word Shreyas. And Shreyas is the name of the grandson. You blessed my grandson today. Now what to do? You come here, but you are reminded of something else. Are you able to follow? This is ignorance. This is ignorance. You come there, but you are reminded of something else. What is knowledge means? You know what is the goal, the lakshya, and also you know what is the goal, lakshya, and you also know what is it that is going to lead you there, and that which leads you there has two stages to it. Action is the initial stage. Jnanam is the direct, one is the indirect cause, another is the direct cause. Action is the indirect cause. Jnanam, knowledge, Vedantic knowledge is the direct cause for moksha. And when knowledge comes, knowledge removes ignorance like this. Just as knowledge removes ignorance like this. How does it knowledge remove ignorance? Knowledge remove ignorance quickly. Like light dispels darkness. Like light dispels darkness quickly, knowledge removes ignorance. If knowledge is not removing ignorance, it is not the problem of the knowledge, it is because of your samshaya and the equipment not strong enough to receive it. Are you able to follow? That's why I gave this example of Kunti telling Karna, you are a Kunti Putra. That fact didn't change. But for Karna to recognize it took a lot of time. Now, is it the problem of the fact or is it the problem of the instrument? It is the problem of the instrument. Since it is the instrument that is preventing you from recognizing, purify it. And how do you purify it? By action. What type of action? Karma Yoga. What does Karma Yoga means? Karma Yoga means dedicated work for a higher purpose. Remembering you are not the doer. Remembering you are not the doer. With this attitude, which is what action is, which is combination of Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga, purifies you, Chitta Shuddhi, inner purification. With that inner purification, with that purified instrument, when it does Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, knowledge goes in, recognition happens. So that's what we discussed in the introductory portion to Atma Bodha. The Guru, the Acharya always tests whether you are purified internally. They check that. Ipo, we don't even want to get into the testing. We don't even want to do all that nowadays. Story madri time paathane irukra nanu 8:45 lende 7:45 lende 9 o'clock vandiruchina close it. Shastras, the acharyas don't, they say, unless you are qualified, you will not be able to understand what is said. And how do they check whether you are qualified or not? How do they check whether you are qualified or not? Yama checked Nachiketas, whether he is qualified or not. Yama checked Nachiketas. How did Yama check Nachiketas? He says, 100 years I will give you. Take this Ramba, Urvashi, Menaka also with you. No Vyadhi will come to you for 100 years. You will be enjoying temptation, checking. If the Chitta Shuddhi didn't happen, what will the person do? The person will fall. Last week or the previous class, I spoke about Tyagaraja. When the king of Tanjore came, when the invitation came, Chitta Shuddhi. Tyagaraja had this Chitta Shuddhi. Chitta Shuddhi for him said, I am not going to get tempted by the offerings. Chitta Shuddhi. So, Chitta Shuddhi, action prepares you, action prepares the instruments to receive knowledge. And knowledge per se exists. That's the formula. Are you able to follow now? Chitta Shuddhi prepares the instruments to recognize. That's the cataract or cataract remove பண்ற மாதிரி. இல்லையா? இது போட்டா ஏற்கனவே எனக்கு ஒண்ணும் தெரியல இந்த ஸ்கிரீன்ல. Who is looking at me, who is not looking at me, I am not able to. ஏதோ ஸ்டாம்ப் பார்க்குற மாதிரி இருக்குது இல்லையா? Looks like the stamp. அதிலே உத்து I am seeing who is not. So, Siddha Shuddhi means the instrument is made, the instrument is refined, the instrument is bettered so that it can recognize as it is. What is recognizing as it is? Stage number 1, with this I conclude. What is recognizing as it is means? Stage number 1 is, I am an ignorant person having to gain knowledge. Stage number 1. Stage number 2 is, pure I am already. I am impure and I have to become pure. That is stage number 1. Stage number 2 is, I am pure. I am pure already. I need to recognize that. Action is, I am impure. I need to become pure. Is action. What is Jnanam? I am pure already and I need to recognize that purity in me already is Jnanam, and it is this recognition is moksha. Therefore, verse number 3. Action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposed to ignorance. Knowledge alone destroys ignorance as light destroys deep darkness. Verse number 2, verse number 3, verse number 4 gives formulas. In fact, 1, 2, 3, 4 is the formula. Verse number 1, we saw the sadhana chatushtaya, the four things. Verse number 2, he spoke about knowledge alone gives liberation. Verse number 3, action cannot destroy ignorance as it is not opposite of ignorance. This is verse number 3. I'm going to take the clarification of Sri Ram now. Sri Ram saying, if action is driven by motive with the hope of attaining something, the case of a spiritual aspirant, he acts to attain moksha. Yeah. First you say max you can attain through is relative purification. And while doing action, the byproduct of action could be the 5 evils, and you may miss the mark completely and not even gain result and not even gain relative purification. Yeah. But my result oriented nature does not want to put effort, while it is categorically said, I cannot attain it through action. Max, I may attain relative peace through it, but even that is not a guarantee. Correct. No wonder we are not sincere seekers. So how can we correct, Sriram? All that we have said till now is correct. So how can we inspired to purify ourselves through action when the relative goal itself is not guaranteed and the final goal cannot be attained through action? How can we inspire ourselves? How can we inspire ourselves? We can inspire ourselves by going through this knowledge again and again and again. I hear it, I understand it, a clarification comes, an answer is given, there is a satisfaction. But doubts keep reappearing, right. like the doubts kept on reappearing for Karna. Like the doubts kept on reappearing for Karna, doubts keep reappearing too. So therefore, how do we inspire ourselves? We inspire ourselves by this continuous process of Shravana and Manana, plus whatever activities I am doing, I bring in the attitude of Karma Yoga into it. I am doing a set of activities already. I should not stop it. I should not change it. In that activities that I am doing already, I bring in the attitude of Karma Yoga. As I am doing this Karma Yoga, I understand that it is not an end in itself. It is a means to an end. The moment I understand that it is a means to an end, the result orientation goes away. The worry, the anxiety goes away. When the worry and anxiety and the result orientation goes away, to that extent, I become more clear. To that extent, my intellect becomes that much sharp, that much clear. So how do I motivate oneself? A person can motivate oneself by these twin practices. The twin practices of trying to bring in the attitude of Karma Yoga into my existing activity. This is very critical. Otherwise, what people do, Karma Yoga, they will want to go and start a social service activity. They will want to go and do something different from what they are doing, which is not the method. I bring in the attitude of Karma Yoga into my existing activity, plus Shravana and Manana. By combining these two, a person can sustain the inspiration.
So when you say, Aravindan uncle, that this is a means to an end.
Yes.
But you're saying that this means will not take you to the end. For sure, because the end, this is not the means through which you can get to the end.
Correct.
So how do I... So the thing is that the statement that you made that this is a means to the end, or faith, because we know that through action will not take me to the end. So that is the basis, right? I don't have the faith that this is a means to the end because you've categorically said it.
Correct. The means, we said it is a means to an end so that you don't get involved in the activities. If we don't say it as a means to an end, the tendency of the mind is to get attached and involved to whatever it does. To prevent this mind from getting attached to the spiritual practices itself, it is said understand from the beginning itself, it is only a means to an end. Just as when you go to the hospital, howsoever the hospital room is comfortable, beneficial and good, you will not want to stay there for one extra day also. It is comfortable, it is good, the doctors are good, the nurses are good, bill is also not heavy. But still I will not want to spend even one extra day there. Yes, the catch in the whole thing is you use the word Shraddha, the faith. Now, that faith itself is a product of analysis. Faith is conviction. And conviction comes only through Tarka, Mimamsa, Nyaya, logic, reason and analysis. If I don't go through this logic, reason and analysis, the conviction itself will not come. Now, what people do most of the time when it comes to religion and Vedanta and God and liberation and all that is, the amount of logic and reason and analysis that they do on any worldly science. They don't do anything here. They just take certain things as, they take certain things for granted, or they work on a very blind way. That is why Vedas, to interpret the statement of the Vedas, Vedas have developed associated Shastras for it. What is known as Mimamsa, Tarka, Nyaya. One is a complete book by itself. So that to understand each and every statement, it has to be done through these methods. So that style of approaching the Shastras is lost completely. What in this classroom that we are trying to do is to, wherever I get a chance, I try to bring in those formulas and establish the link. Once those formulas are brought in and the link is established, like I said about today, action means what? It produces something, it reaches you somewhere, either it is a production or modification or a purification or a reaching somewhere. Now you cannot conceive of an action without any of these things. Action means it will produce something, and product means it will have an expiry date. Now, so when we try to explain through this logic and reason and all this, then a Shraddha develops on what? Shraddha develops on the Vedanta Vakya. Now, Shraddha develops on the statements of the Vedanta. அதுக்கு மேல இருக்கிற greater problem is Shraddha on the person who's interpreting that Vedanta Vakya for you. Rendu problem inga. One is the Vakya itself, another is the person who is interpreting it for you. So it's a double problem here. So the longevity will be more here. Because of these twin, the longevity will be more. Why? Because of these two difficulties. So to develop the Shraddha, I need to go through this process of this logic, reason and analysis. Sometimes, honestly speaking, I used to think many a times, before we even do this text and all that, why not do a few sessions on just the basic formulas that goes into this? Like kindergarten school mari formulas la solli kudutittu and then make a person sit in a classroom like this, it will become that much more convincing. Yeah, it will become that much more convincing. But adukku problem enna appadina, sir, idula oru varam ukkaradhukku ellaroda type ketta adjust panni we have to come. If I start that one naka, that becomes another thing. But definitely one day hopefully I will do it also one day. One day hopefully I will do that also. Are you able to follow? Why? What you brought in is a very practical difficulty you brought in. The practical difficulty is the Shraddha on the statement, Shraddha on the person who is interpreting the statement. Both the problems. Like Karna over Kunti. Now, Karna didn't have anything personal about Kunti. He is not able to understand, that's all. It is not that Karna is disrespecting or disregarding Kunti. The knowledge is so overwhelming. The statement is so overwhelming that it defies all the logic and reason of him, which is so much for him to digest.
Right.
Another, I brought in this example of Karna and Kunti. And at least this dilemma we have seen in the movies at least.
Right.
Yeah. Are you able to follow till? Is it okay till now?
Yeah.
Therefore, how to develop this Shraddha? By these twin practices. If not, what happens is, if you don't do these twin practices and moksha or infinite as the goal is not kept, a lethargy will come, a complacency will come. The complacency is the relative peace itself will make a person complacent. And the complacency in the spiritual path is the most dangerous. Because at least in the world, somebody achieves something more than you, you have a challenge there constantly.
Exactly.
At least in the world, somebody puts the challenge. Here, adu kuda illandradunala, the complacency becomes so the spiritual complacency to get over that is too difficult. That is why what the guru does here, whenever he sees the student becoming spiritually complacent, he gives one knock. And he sets the challenge. He sets the challenge by making a statement like this, by bringing in a deeper analysis, by bringing in something deeper. The understanding is challenged so that the person doesn't get stuck to the relative piece. Otherwise, he will be stuck to the relative piece. And most of the spiritual, which is what Shankaracharya, anybody who has attained liberation, is so concerned about the spiritual seekers becoming complacent. Because little bit of knowledge itself will make you so balanced.
Correct.
The little bit of this knowledge itself makes you so balanced, and this balance itself, people can misunderstand it to be they have attained the moksha. Therefore, you are right. It's a vicious loop. Looks like a vicious loop. So what the Shastras have done is they have known all this, and at every stage they bring you one thing to break that. First, they will say something, you sincerely practice it, you will develop a kind of complacency, and then they will immediately say something to wake you up from that and go and take you to the
next level,
to the next level, to the next level, to the next level, till that time comes where you know for yourself that I am not going to, you are grateful to the Vedanta, you are grateful to the Guru, and all that is separate. But your mumukshatva is intensified. Once the mumukshatva is intensified, Vedanta Gurula becomes redundant after that. You need to wash the plate, and once the dirt is removed, you need not have to wash the plate again, no? You wash the plate when it is dirty. Once the dirt is removed, Vedanta Guru Allah becomes secondary. Your gratitude will be there. Your devotion and respect and gratitude will be there. But the mumukshatva will carry you till liberation. So, this is how it is. This is how you don't, you break the vicious loop. Also, you don't get stuck in the complacency. And the spiritual complacency is the most dangerous complacency, because they feel slightly above the rest.
Correct.
And the spiritual complacency itself brings in a tremendous arrogance also with it.
I feel because you become either in the spiritual world or in the scientific world, once you are an expert in logic, reason, and analysis, it does build in a superiority complex, whether you admit it or not.
Correct. Factually, it is a superior state.
Yeah.
But I need not feel superior. I am like, I may have wealth, but I need not look down on others, or I need to develop an arrogance about my wealth. See, I did the hard work and I have acquired wealth, which is a fact. The fact that I am rich is I am factually superior, and there is nothing wrong about it, but I need not develop an arrogance over it. That's all. That's why in Vedanta Shastra they say, in the qualified person illama and adhikari illama the knowledge illam kudutha, not only they will not learn anything for themselves, they will go and disturb everybody around them also unnecessarily. Because of the sheer logic and reason analytical ability, they can point the fault in everybody all the time. Yeah.
Correct.
Oru Cho Ramasamy the world can handle, no? Imagine thousands Cho Ramasamy, world cannot handle them. That is why the adhikaritvam is established very clearly. Is it okay, Sriram?
Yeah.
Yeah. Suresh, what is the composition of the chitta? Mano, buddhi, chitti, ahankar. Correct. That is the composition of chitta. Mind, intellect, chitta, and ahankar. Correct. 2. Body, mind, intellect, vasanas. There are 2 ways of explaining human laws. How do I understand? For practical purposes, in the context of this verse, purification of chitta means purification from these 5 diseases. I will not bring in this body, mind, intellect, vasanas, neither mano, buddhi, chitta, ahankar component here. That which doesn't allow me to do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, I need to purify it. What is it that doesn't allow me to do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana? These 5, Trividam Narakasyedam, the 5 things. Therefore, in this context, Chitta Shuddhi means understand it as purifying from these 5. Seriya, Suresh? The last one. Please do it. Basics. I'll do it. Surely I'll do it. Because and our formula it becomes more of a reinforcement. It becomes that much more easy to comprehend. I'll do it. Some context I would do it. Venkat permission கொடுக்கணும் அதுக்கு. Yeah. இது வந்து வெங்கட் பர்மிஷன் கொடுக்கணும், வேதாந்தா இன்ஸ்டிடியூட்ல பர்மிஷன் கொடுத்தாதான் ஐ கேன் டூ. அதனால அவள்கிட்ட கேளுங்க, வெங்கட் கிட்ட பர்மிஷன் வாங்கிட்டேன்னு சொல்லுங்க, இட் இஸ் டன். வெங்கட் சரியா? Therefore, we will do it one day. I have it in mind. I have got everything ready. I'm just trying to see a good opportunity to do it. We will continue next week with verse number Ranganathan. T.N. Ranganathan. நீங்க hand raise பண்ணல?
By mistake.
Okay. Yeah. Right. With this, we conclude for today and we continue next class.